We're live, everybody. Gonna tweet that out. Did it so quick. We prepared it so quickly. We're amazing. Some days. Some days. Okay. Ooh, that butter chicken is hitting something different right now. Oh yeah, baby. Minecraft. What a comfort game. Okay, that is all checked out. Okay. Alright, we're good. I'm live. We're good. Okay, I'll talk to the chat here in just a moment, guys. Sorry, hang tight. I forgot that Discord is also a thing. Oh, my throat is on fire from everything. Okay, we're good. Alright, everybody. Hello. We're doing things. Let's do the donate command real quick. That's right. So, hi. We're playing Minecraft. We're decimating mountains in the name of charity. But I'm also going to do something a little different for tonight. If you do donate any monies at all, any donation, any amount, I want you to tell me what I should do. Whether that is like change the way that I mine this mountain, or if I should go make TNT and explode a bunch of shit, or if I should go farming instead, fishing, whatever, really. This is your guys' stream. I have no end time in mind for this stream. I just click the button and we're gonna go for as long as we want to go. To a limit. I do need to be up at 8:45 tomorrow morning. So, which is 10:45 for all of you people in the East Coast. So, we got time. We're gonna do things. So, that is the stipulation for today's stream. Donate any amount. $1, $5, $10, $25, $51. Any amount really. You can tell me how to play the game. Okay, I'm gonna let backseat gaming actually happen in my life. Oh boy. And you can just tell me anything, by the way. Like, Dragon, I want you to talk with a silly voice, or I want you to drink water, because I'm very bad at that. Or anything, really. Anything. Yeah, I want to make sure your desktop audio is actually working. Oh yeah, we're good. Okay. So that's the thing for today. You donate and you just tell me whatever you want me to do and I will do it. Okay? I'm gonna start by decimating a mountain. Just simple mines. And yeah, I'm also gonna cook a bunch of potatoes up for something called export in this server. So I'm also doing that. So I'm cooking up a bunch of potatoes. But hello everybody! Welcome! We are doing the things tonight. Probably should tweet that out, that like, if you donate any amount in tonight's stream, you can tell me what to do in the game, what kind of voice to make, what kind of accents I can attempt to try, and yeah, or just like, really, if you donate any money, I'm gonna do whatever you want me to do. You want me to go on webcam? But sure, donate money and I'll begrudgingly go on Minecraft or go on webcam. So there's that. There's that too. Like, it can be anything on any donation amount. Okay? And I will do my best to make sure I remember to check the little bar above the screen that you guys can see, kind of probably about here where my mouse is, somewhere around this area. I'm gonna do my best to check that regularly. And yeah. So we gathered most of the cooked potatoes. One more row to go, because unfortunately Minecraft has 36 slots in your inventory, not 40. I should have told Daryl about that, actually. We should have 36 furnaces, not 40, but It is what it is. It is what it is. Cooked potatoes. Okay, I'm gonna quickly, let me get my Twitter out real quick. You guys get to just stare at my potato chest. I'm Julie staring at the potats. The potato chat. Okay, let me go Twitter, please. Twitter. Okay. Ugh, my butt, my nose. My butt, my nose. Both things. Okay, donate any amount to tell me to do anything. Switch Minecraft activities. Go, oh, I can't type. Go on webcam. Try an accent. Sing anything. There we go. I don't know what Twitter I actually tweeted that from. Fuck. Wrong Twitter. Oh well. There we go. We're doing this. Okay, I actually want to keep my phone out so I can access my mis correos electrónicos. I can't speak Spanish right now. I had a bunch of butter chicken just before this, and it's making everything very interesting. Not the smartest move by me, but we are doing it. Okay. Let's go, gamers. Gamers. Okay, let's get cooking. Get cooking. Get cooking. We love it when we cooking. Cooking up the storm. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Wow, it is like tomorrow is the last day of the year. Holy moly. 2022 has been a pretty insane year. It's ending really rough for me, but also like it's really good at the same time. It's definitely a really weird duality going on in my poor brain right now. The dragon duality, be real. Okay, sorry, you guys are gonna get some sniffles because I had spicy food. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sure. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. I just realized I'm slouching forward a lot right now. I need to move my chair up and fix the posture. So this is your posture check, friends. If you are a little slouched, you might want to just correct that posture a bit. Isn't spicy food supposed to make the fire go? No, I love spicy food so much. Like I had butter chicken, like some good proper butter chicken, and it just gets all my sinuses all like all kind of stuffied up a little bit and runny and loose, and so that's where I'm at right now. It's just kind of a phlegmy hot mess. Apologies. I also have like some rice stuck in my teeth, so I'm just gonna fix that up. I'm glad no one has donated yet to tell me to go on camera because I'm a hot mess. Yeah, I'm just a mess. But yeah, but hi Cece! How we doing today on the second last day of 2022? How we feeling? How we doing? I, for one, hope that after tomorrow, when we hit January 1st, whatever's making my depression go wah 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 right now can kindly fuck off. That's what I hope. January 1st comes and I'll just feel like a better human again. That would be nice. I refuse to believe tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Yeah, it is. Oh boy. It's funny how time works though. Like, I think I said this last stream, but oh, what the fuck? How do I get up there? We grapple and just find a way. I'm resourceful. I got this. It's funny though, because like, for me, this year felt like it dragged on and on and on. That's only because of all the changes I went through this year, personally. I went through a lot. Like a lot this year. And so for me, I'm like, oh wow, we're finally in December. But this past week, like the holidays, I suppose, really do fuck with you. Because you're like, wait a minute. I mean, like, wasn't it just Christmas? Wasn't it just Christmas Eve? Wasn't it just Christmas Day? Didn't we just have Boxing Day? And then all of a sudden it's like, haha, surprise. Not only did we just have that, it is now New Year's. And I'm like, oh boy. Hello. Hello, time. Oh, come on. Get that wood. Get the wood. Okay. Any other trees to go get? Yeah, there's a couple trees here. Look at all these animals. Oh my lordy. So, I felt this year dragged on in many different ways, but only because I went through a lot of different transitions, and I continue to keep going through a lot of transitions. So, that is how the year dragged on for me. Like, I felt like I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be like 27 forever. And then my birthday came and I was like, yay, I'm 28. But now I'm like, oh my god, 28 is gonna last forever. It's just how I feel right now, currently. I'm not gonna lie. How was everybody else's 2022? Do you feel like it flew by, or did it take its time? 8, 9. 9 is here. Okay. Good to know. 9, 9, 9. 9. Gonna make a nice little ladder down, because we're going to be mining all of this out tonight. Well, we might not mine all of it out, but a good majority of it we will be. Okay, yeah. We're good. Good. There was one section that flew by because so much happened in a month. Oh, fair enough. If you've got one of those like pretty hectic busy months, then I can see time going by a little quickly for that. But even then for me too, I was like, oh my god. Like, I think for me, what was my busiest month? I think my busiest months were May, June, August. May, June, and August mainly were my busiest months. I mean, I still was pretty busy. Only because, like, of all the new things going on in my life, I was busy. But those months felt like it was non-stop. Like I was just doing everything all at once. And I was like, oh lordy, here we go. This is dragon. Oh, it was bad stuff that happened. Yeah, when it's bad stuff, it's definitely a different story. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because like right now, I'm kind of going through it a little bit. I'm killing a cow because I just don't care. I don't care. I'm in that mood right now. But yeah, I don't know. Those were the busiest months, but even then they dragged on. Oh my lord. That is a jump and a punch. Okay, well. You know what? We're gonna do this in sections. Well, why not? There's a big gap here. We're gonna mine out the gap and go that way. Yeah, we're gonna do this in sections instead of the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just like I did a lot this year. So I kind of did a year in review already in an earlier stream with Spam Waits, aka Daryl. And it was kind of wild to go through that all with him. Because he's been through it all. He's my closest friend. And I've known him for 8 years. It'll be 9 years next year. Holy moly. Holy moly. And he's been through it a lot. So he was just like reflecting on like, oh my god, right. Like at the start of this year, back in January, till about April. Yeah, it was, no, January till May. So the first, 5 months that was? Is that 5 months? Yeah, 5 months. For the first 5 months, I was still working in retail overnights. Which is so wild. It feels like forever ago that I was doing that, but I was. I was still working overnights in a grocery store, doing like the online grocery picking job I was doing, and hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was a job. It did what it could, right? For like money wise and such, although I'm still not like financially able or responsible. I'm still really struggling with money right now, but that's a different story, I guess, or maybe a story for later on. But yeah, I was still doing overnights, so I would bus it to work for like 11 p.m. ish, and then I would get off at 7 a.m. Yeah, a lot of those kinds of shifts, or it'd be like 11:30 to 3:30. I was 11:30 to 7, but because of busing here in my city, I had to be there for 11, so I did like 11. I was at the work for 8 hours for sure, and it was a lot. Like, I hated it. I felt like I missed out on so much of like daytime stuff and daytime life. I couldn't get caught up on like news events. Like, if you were to ask me what the biggest headline was back in January to May, I had no idea. Could not tell you. Although it probably had to do with something with COVID. That's all I would tell you. That's all I would be able to tell you. Just because of that life I was living. Oh, sorry, nose. But it was during that time though where I was busy, because like I still had to wake up at a decent time to get ready for work and eat and live kind of a life. But I was also like getting all this paperwork and had to communicate back and forth with the UK because I had been hired by my school board. Like, legitimately hired by my school board back in March-ish. So a few months into the 2022 year, but I still couldn't like work. And so we got all these like documents from the UK. So it was like a month of me constantly going back and forth with a variety of different people and organizations in the UK to get the documentation that my school board needed, and it finally went all through. And it was like a week or so before Daryl, Spam Waits, came to visit me here in Canada, where I got the news like, you can officially finally start substituting. And I was like, oh my god, thank god. Oh my god, I can do this. I can slowly transition that overnight work. I'll do overnights on the weekends only, and then I'll do like substitution work throughout the week. So that's what happened there. It just took forever to get this paperwork because the school board wouldn't be happy with like this documentation from this school board or from the school in the UK, and they wanted something else, and they wanted this, and oh, it was so rough. And I was like, oh my god, let me just substitute already, please. I need to slowly transition out of this hellhole now, please. But it did happen. And hello, cow. Hello. But it did happen, and it was really exciting. It's like, basically I got the good news, and then bam, in April, Daryl came to visit me. So for those that have been around for a while, Spam Waits. And that visit was so good. We did everything super safe because COVID was still pretty scary, and it was kind of getting bad a little bit. again, in my city at that point, because they were still tracking like COVID cases and numbers back then. And so we like, he got there, we stayed masked like the whole time. We got to the airport, we did a rapid test, and we're like, okay, we're good, we're solid, no illness, no nothing, symptoms were great. And then that's like, okay, cool, we can like stay unmasked in the hotel. And then everywhere we went, though, we were able to like, we stayed masked and we had so much fun. I got to show him so much of the city that like he's only heard about from like years and years of stories. And that was really special for me and for him. So it was such a good trip. Really, really liked having him here, and he has agreed that he wants to come back sometime this year, maybe for Animeathon in July. We will have to wait and see. So that happened in April. That was a big thing. Then after he left, I began substituting, and at first it was kind of confusing on how it worked because no one really trained you on how the systems worked per se. They were just like, here you go, this is the app that you, or this is like the website you go to try to find jobs, and this is sort of, here, take a quick tour of the platform, and that was it. I was like, okay, cool, I think I know what I'm doing. I did not know what I was doing. So it took a little bit to kind of get those regular jobs, but once I did have them, I was like, oh, okay. And I do submit timesheets regularly. Everything is calculated by a certain date, and then you get paid at the end of the month. So I was like, oh, alright, I got it. I understand this now. But then I got very fortunate in May of 2022 because I ended up going to my old high school, which was very special and sweet for its own little story that I'll get to in a moment. But I ended up studying there for a couple times. I went there for social studies cover and then Spanish, because that was my minor in university, so I'm trying to teach Spanish at a basic level, basically. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take the Spanish cover. And then the teacher messaged me the one day I went in, and I was like, hey, do you mind coming in tomorrow? I was like, sure, yeah, come in tomorrow, no problem. And then it was like her, and I still to this day don't know why she didn't come back the whole term. But basically that's what happened. I ended up subbing for her so much that I ended up having a temp contract with the school, because I was covering for her for more than 20 days in the school year. So then it ended up being like 37 days or something like that in total I ended up being at the school for, and got my first temporary contract with the school board. And that's why May was a busy month for me, because not only did I come in, start subbing and kind of learning this stuff, it was something like, bam, surprise, you're a full-time teacher shortly after, shortly after being a sub. And so I had no resources, nothing like prepared, nothing planned. I didn't know what I was doing. The teacher gave me some resources and some clue, but then for the most part, it was up to me to do everything. From like, she gave me, I think, 4 or 5 days worth of cover work, and then I had to create everything on my own. So basically, for the entire month of May and June, I was working crazy hours. I quit the retail job, the overnight retail job. I think the first weekend that I was told I would be working full-time. Because there was just no way I could do it. There's no way I could sacrifice my sleep, basically, on the weekends to do this and do like full-time teaching work. So I quit my job like that Friday that I found out that I would be in for a full-time work schedule. And I'm glad I did, because I was working, most days I'd be at the school for 7:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave till about 4:35. And that was purely like teaching classes, planning, prepping, printing, photocopying, attending meetings, doing check-ins with my department head, like A lot. It was a lot. There's some days where I didn't work that because I had my D&D classes online still. But for the most part, it was like that kind of work schedule, that life. And I rarely took lunches off. I worked through most of my lunchtime periods. And even in June, when things got a little bit better near the end of June, because it was exam period, I was still doing a lot because I had one student who admitted to me partway through the semester that she felt really guilty about what her mark was. So for the last 3 weeks of classes, she would come in during lunch regularly, like before, because she was in block 3 right after lunch, basically. She would come in early and just work with me to kind of study Spanish, work on it a little bit with me, understand the novel we were doing. And we worked one-on-one for quite a bit, and we bumped her mark up like 30 grades in those last 3 weeks, just to save her butt. And that was a really proud moment of mine. But also, again, that was just the level of work I was doing in the school, was just like constantly lesson planning, printing, prepping, finding resources, checking in with students, helping students, and like I was so busy all the time. Oops, I didn't mean to delete an email. And so that's why May and June were very busy for me, and that's why I felt like those 2 months were like, oh shoot, I felt like just a couple weeks ago I started this whole like temp contract thing, and now it's over. What? It was quite wild how the time flew but then froze at the same time. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it though. Okay, there we go. Retweet. Okay, all those notifications go away. And yeah, so it was funny because it got to the end of that temp contract where I was like, well, okay, there's a year-end party, do I go? And my contract did say that like I would be paid that last day, like the full day, that the farewell party or like the end of the year staff thing was. So I was like, okay, I might as well go because I am actually legitimately getting paid to be here in a weird way. So I went to the school first thing in the morning to grab some things and tidy up the classroom because again, it wasn't mine anymore on that last day of the contract. I didn't end up getting another temp contract or anything at the school. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta clean up, make sure everything is back to the way it was before I started, and clean up, tidy up, gather everything that I needed. The school was great too because they gave me a bunch of masks and COVID test boxes, which was great. And my sister picked me up, took me to the farewell party, and I was a little surprised because we had a lot of great food. Oh my god, I still remember that food. It was so good. It was like a bunch of like roast beef and vegetables, potatoes, salads, macaroni salads, pasta salads. Oh, they did us good. It was so yummy. And for free. The only thing that wasn't free was alcohol, but I hadn't gotten paid at that point, so I didn't really have money to buy the alcohol. I think I had one drink. I think maybe my friend bought me a drink. I don't remember. It was a few months ago. It was like 6 months ago. Sorry. Funny laugh there a little bit, but and then like we all sat down, we ate food, we kind of talked a little bit about how the year went, and I got to hear about some of the tea that I didn't know was happening behind the scenes because I literally was locked up in my classroom all the time doing work. But what surprised me was that they did a little farewell speeches to like any staff member who was leaving, retiring, had another opportunity somewhere, all that, that kind of jazz. And the first person that they called up was another substitute teacher who I met because she signed her temp contract the same day I did. And so I was like, hey, I haven't seen you since like we were both sitting in the principal's office together signing contracts. She's like, yeah, sounds about right, because this was my experience. How was yours? I'm like, sounds pretty similar to mine. Not gonna lie. And so we were bonding over it. But then, yeah, her department head, I don't remember, or it was maybe the assistant principal that came up and did like a speech about like her, like dedicating her, or like thanking her for her work and her dedication for working such an awkward schedule. She only ever got like a 30-minute lunch. Not like the full, or no, she got like a 20-minute lunch only instead of the 45 the rest of us had, because she was teaching in-person classes and online classes, and the online classes had a different schedule than the in-person ones. So she never actually had a full break. So like the vice principal was still like, was talking about that for her, and like she came up and received a card and a little gift baggie, or like a little thank you for being here gift baggie kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And then I had that like sudden realization as she sat back at her table, like, uh-oh, does that mean I have to go through that too? I have to get up out of my chair and go in front of all these teachers and colleagues and like my past teachers, because I went to the high school as a high school student. Oh no. Sure enough, I did. Sure enough, I absolutely had to. But it was really sweet because my department head, I didn't really see her much throughout this term. I was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Does it sound good? And she's like, yeah, that works. Whatever doesn't get covered or whatever you can't do, we'll just correct next year. No big deal. I was like, sweet, but like, this works, right? This covers curriculum objectives. And she's like, yeah, just throw maybe a little bit of this in there. I'm like, okay, cool. That was like the only time we talked, really. And then, so for her to go up and actually make a huge speech about like the hours I was working and the dedication I had to the students and just helping everybody out right from the end, right till the end of the semester, and this being my first like proper contract with them in public and all this stuff. It was just like actually really sweet. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna cry. And it was funny because then I got up there, I said thank you and gave her a hug, and I was like, merci, and merci, gracias, because she's the languages department head. And she's like, oh, look at you, even taught you some French before you left. It was really funny, really, really precious. And it's funny though, because like as I sat down, they're like, wait, Violet, weren't you part of like Osborne's first graduating class? And I was like, yep, 2012, same with Brooke. And they're like, oh my god, there's two of you here, two of our legacy students here. And I was like, oh god, please don't do this to me. Don't embarrass us like this. And then they all, like, some of the teachers that taught me were like, yeah, I taught Violet. Woo! I was like, okay, Mr. Smith, calm down. You taught me one class in grade 10. Chill. But again, I was memorable. And I was also on student council, so I guess he helped me with a lot of student council stuff too. Sorry. I'm just like, I guess I have to give it to him. And then they're like, yeah, Violet, did you ever go on that like big legacy trip for you guys? You guys got to go to New York, right? And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. No, I did not go. I had to stay behind because of various reasons. But it was great because, like, if anyone remembers, we're on Sperling, and they're like, Sperling! I was like, oh god. Yep, that's Sperling for you. I was like, if anyone remembered Sperling, I stay behind, and we were supposed to do a bunch of these, like, class activities and bonding activities and such, but I remember the last couple days of that week that everybody was gone, we watched the World Cup, and there was, like, laughter throughout the whole crowd. Me totally not ratting out my Spanish teacher years later that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. It's all good. He's a curriculum development head now, so they can suck it. Anyway, tangent after tangent here, but that was a really sweet moment. And what got me a little more emotional is that I looked into the bag, and I still have it because I don't think I could ever leave or lose this mug anywhere ever. Is my high school's name, and then it was like it had the like established in 2009 on it, and that got me because I was like, oh fuck, that's me. I was at the school the year it opened and got established. So that was a really like good highlight for the year. It was a crazy intense, I still don't know how the hell I survived it. but a really crazy temp contract. But I made some really good connections, and they've been helping me out a lot actually with certain various things, so it's been really nice ever since I left there. And every time I go back, they're like, Violet, welcome back. Who are you covering for today? And so it's been really sweet. A really, really good experience there. Then, I can't believe I'm doing a whole year review right now, but this is good for me because for those of you that don't know, I have Tumblr now. Well, I have 2 Tumblrs. I've got one that's kind of like my really nerdy, geeky out one. And then I have another one that I've been actually writing more. I'm not really a writer, so I don't know what made me want to start this, but I did. I don't know. Well, Cece. I don't know how good of a writer I am. You've been reading the posts more than I read them, although I do like triple check them for grammar as much as I can before I post it. So I don't know how well of a writer I am, or how well of a speaker I am, but I do my best. So tomorrow I'm going to be typing out this year in review and posting it there for a little blog. So me doing this right now on stream is actually going to be very helpful. I can come back and listen to this later at any time and just be like, oh yeah, that did happen in May. Oh my gosh, Daryl did come visit me in April. Whoa. And have that like nice little thing playing in the background while I write. But yeah, I feel like the fact you help with Toastmasters to testify to you being a good speaker. Fair enough, I am a Toastmaster. I should be good at speaking. I don't have as many, well, I just used one. I don't have as many filler words as I used to, that's for sure. I used to say like and and so quite a lot. I used to say it way more than I do now. But I don't as much now. Which is nice. But yeah, being a good speaker doesn't always mean being a good writer, I will say. I know plenty of people who are fantastic writers. And then you hear them give a speech and you're like, whoa. Whoa. But anyway, there's that. Back to the year in review that we're inevitably doing, since I've had no donations to tell me I should stop talking about this yet. Let's go July. Summertime. Not gonna lie, I spent the first couple of weeks of July chilling, relaxing, because that was an intense, like 7-week contract I did. Very intense. So I was like, I am not doing anything right away. And I didn't. I took my time, relaxed, and it was so needed. But then at the end of the month is when my summer really kicked off in a very fun way. And I'm leaving this out on purpose because I gotta talk about it for July, and then I'll backtrack a bit. There's no chronological order to this anymore, not for the summer. Summer was a blur of many activities and things, but the first thing that kicked off my summer very well was actually going and attending my very first Pride. I did my very first Pride here in my city. It was a Pride Fest. It was just a one-day big festival, and I volunteered there too. So not only did I go, I volunteered. And the reason why I volunteered a lot this summer, actually, I didn't just volunteer at Pride Fest, I volunteered in many ways, was because I wanted to do something fun and get out in the community, meet people, hopefully make friends. And the Pride Fest was the first way to do it, and it was so important to me, this Pride Fest, because it was my first out Pride Fest. Because, wasn't it? I know I didn't come out in July, or in June. Sorry, it was June that was Pride Fest. Sorry. June was Pride Fest. Mixed up my months already. Rewind. It was in May. I don't know why I did it. Why did I come out to everybody in May? I should have waited till June for Pride Month. I really freaking should have. I didn't. But I came out in, like, early May-ish? I think it was, like, just before my temp contract got finalized where I came out as demisexual and pansexual. This chicken's gonna piss me off. I'm sorry, guys. If you don't want to see me kill the kitchen. Ooh. If you do not want to see me kill a chicken, please turn away now. Okay? Not licking. Kill! Okay, we're good. And now the cops are after me. Just kidding. We have constant sirens in my area. I live downtown. But yeah, I came out in May as Demi and Pan. That's the whole story. Shall I get into it? Do you want to hear the story? Does anyone want to hear the story about this? It's a story and a half, that's for sure. I think, Stacey, you're the only one here right now. Do you want to hear the story of me coming out? I can definitely share it. Not a lot of people know it. Okay, one story. Alright. I think I'm going to be respectful of the sirens and wait till they go away. And then I will share the story. Oh, it's almost gone. Okay. So. This is like, sounds like it sounds like one of those exaggerations, like, forever ago, I have been considering. I'm not going to do a voice, but it's true. For quite a few years, I knew something was just a little different about me, I suppose. I went on a number of dates and people talked about, like, you know, like, what are your expectations about being physical and where do you want this relationship to go? And I was just this anxious, like, being, and honestly I thought it was just social anxiety for the longest time, where I was like, I don't have an answer for you, we'll see how this goes. It's sort of the excuse that I always made. I was like, we'll just see how this goes. I'm not really ready for this yet, but yeah, we'll just see how this goes. And I was like that for many years after my first relationship ended. So my first relationship ever was an online relationship, which is actually part of this story as well. It is part of the story as well, because I've been reading more about the AIDS community and demisexuality, and it all leads to something, I promise. And so I was just like, what am I? Like, do I want to really go down this road of labels and finally find the right one that kind of fits? Or do I want to stick with this very stubborn mindset that I had of like, I don't like labels because they keep me in a box sort of idea? That's how I felt about them. I felt like labels were very like limiting to your experience, and so I didn't want to have a label for like many years. Like even when I was dating my ex, I didn't want to have a label. So I never put a label on anything. I never looked into anything. I was just like, I'm who I am, this is my experience, whatever. Take me as I am or leave me. And I still am a little bit like that, but I was finally like, I don't know if Lourdes is around, but if Lourdes is around and eventually watches this, although I doubt it, it was in their server, like, where we were talking about, where I think a friend of mine came out as Demi in their server, and I was like, what is that? Well, I've never heard about that before in my life, and they explained it quite well to me, and I was like, oh, that seems familiar. Okay. And it led to us kind of like having a conversation about it more, and what a sweet person. I love Shy so much. Was it Shy? Oh, I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I can go back and look on the Discord if I wanted to, but I was definitely like that conversation where like, yeah, if you want to read more about like asexuality and the whole community and the whole spectrum of different like identities under that umbrella term, you can go to this website and start looking. And then I was like, oh, okay, sure. Because I basically knew that I was pansexual for quite a while. I found a lot of people just attractive, and it didn't matter the gender at all for me. I was like, okay, handsome, or they're good looking, or they're beautiful, they're pretty. Like, it didn't matter who they were. All genders I found heckin' attractive. or at least maybe not sexually attractive, but like just at least like I can recognize like that's a fine looking person. Yeah, it would be cool to get to know them. That was the attraction for me. It's like I want to kind of get to know them because they are good looking. They're so confident. They're well put together. Yeah. And so for the longest time I was like, okay, yeah, well, I'm pan. I never really put that word out there in the universe for quite a while. But then I was also like, but why do I not want to have sex with them? Why do I not want to get physical with them? That's the weird part, right? Like, I'm weird. I don't want to have... I find them attractive, but I wouldn't want to have sex with them. That's weird, right? But then I kept thinking back to my relationship that I was in, where I was like, but I wanted to have sex with him. Like, when we finally got in person the second time? Was it the second time? Oh god, memory fades. I think it was the second time I went to go visit him. I was like, oh yeah, let's try. This is such a TMI story, holy crap. Needless to say, it didn't quite work. We never actually made it all the way, per se. So, it didn't go all the way, but I wanted to, because I was like, I know this person really well. We've been online dating for like 2 years. We formed a really close connection when I visited him the first time. And I was like, oh yeah. No. He's attractive to me now. Like, I'm okay to go for it. Like, I want to go for it now. And yeah, it was interesting that like that came up. And so going back to what my friend in Lord is the Server posted about asexuality, like all these terms, I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm gray sexual, or like, you know, that attraction kind of comes in and out. It's not really like there's no set terms to it. It just happens when it happens. So I was like, maybe I'm that. But then I like read further and I was like, wait a minute. Demisexual makes much more sense. Now that I heard my sister explain it to me before. I read more about it. I read people's experiences about it. I met friends who were demi. Oh, hello. That was fucking scary. Jump scare for days. Okay. So that got me. And so yeah, I just kind of was like reading more. I got into like so many different websites, and I talked to Han about it at the same time, because like it was around that time that Han and I became friends, like much more closer. And we talked about it quite more, and I was like, well, oh god, let me read the chat first before I ask my question. That is always an experience figuring out people actually want to tap that just based off of seeing someone or a first date, not just being an exaggeration. Right? Like, god, Cece, so many dates were like, but like, because I know when I go on dates, I'm upfront about it quite early on, just so that people know, like, hey, don't rush me. I'm not, don't rush me, please. I'm a scared, anxious being, and I don't know you. I need to get to know you first, please. Do not rush me with this, like, whole physical stuff. And I can't say I love you after one date, because that's not how this works for me. So I'm very open about it, but then the amount of times that people are still like, it's okay, babe. Like, I know you're still, like, a virgin, but, like, I can teach you. And it's like, oh my god. Okay. I'm sure you can teach me, but, like, can we wait for a few months after until I get to know you, please? Or even a year or two? Yeah. As also those, like, dating experiences that I've had where I'm like, I'm so demi. Holy crap. There's my identity in real full force. Here we are. I can even find them, like, physically attractive. Like, I can be like, yeah, they're good looking. Hell yeah. But I wouldn't want to go, like, I wouldn't be like, I need you to take off your pants. No. Never did that. Never had that immediate reaction to anyone ever. And so, but yeah, there's like a few moments though when I was like still not sure. Like, this is back April-ish, April, May of this year, where I was like, oh, I don't know though. Because like, I still enjoy, now this is where it gets really TMI. I'm like, but I still enjoy like, I don't know if Twitch will let me say this, but I am so good at like pleasing myself. I like that. And that's technically like, you know, a sexualish act, but it's with myself, not another person. I had a lot of doubt there. A lot of like that internal thought. I'm like, but if I like that, then that means I can't be Ace or I can't be Demi. But then I talked to Hen and I talked to a few others and I kept reading things and it's like everybody's experience is different. And yeah, I read that like, yeah, there are still some aces out there that like to do that too. There's some aces that really like toys and all those things and do it to themselves. And they're still no less ace than you are. Because again, the whole thing is like sexual attraction to another person. It's yourself, so it's a little different. That's a little gray area a bit. So I like hum and hawed for so long if I was like, am I gray sexual or demi? Am I gray or demi? For so long. And then I was just talking about my previous relationship with like a few people. Talking about like current relationships, like is there anyone in your life that you're super close to that you do find attractive, like in that way that like if it ever led to that physical road you'd be uncomfortable. And I was like, well, there are some people that I'm very close to that I'm like, if we talked more regularly or if we are super super close, then that bond would connect and be like, yeah, I would do that. And then I was like, there's the answer. It's Demi. That was months and months, though, of, like, research and exploring and talking to people and reading things online. And finally I was like, you know what? Nah. This is me. It's who I am. This is the year I'm going to embrace it. And so, ta-da! I'm here. And I exist. And I'm not broken. At all. I'm not broken. I'm not weird. I'm not... Oh my god. I'm not gonna lie, I read you guys are learning a lot about me tonight. I read an article about incels. I think that's what they're called, incels. And I was like so worried one time, like, oh my god, am I just that? But no, I'm not, because obviously for incels, they want sex so bad that they hate people when they don't give it to them. And so I read a few articles on that first just to make sure, like, okay, no, I'm not that. I don't hate people. If they don't want to have sex, they don't want to have sex. I'm good. Like, I don't hate people for not wanting it. Yeah, I went down that path, unfortunately. So that was a big thing this year, is like really leaning into those identities more and embracing it and not like shying away from it. And it's been like so good because I've made even like better friends. Like I've like had much more deeper friendships now with people like Han and Cece. We're getting there. I am like so bad at messaging you. Holy shit, I need to be better at that. But like I'm much more closer to people who also identify as like a Demi or Pan. Although some pansexuals are like, wait, but you don't want to have sex with everybody you see. you find them good looking and that's it. I'm like, yeah. So it's kind of funny to have that kind of discord where they just look at me like, huh, you see me as attractive, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to go and I'm like, no. I don't want to. No, thank you. And they're like, huh, really? Because if I was attracted to you, I'd be like, let's go. And I'm like, okay. Time blindness problem. Oh, time blindness. I don't know what that is, CC. You might have to explain that a little bit to me. That's the first time I've heard it. So, anyway, it came out earlier this year in May, not June, like a silly bean. But it still led to a very fun first Pride for me. Because I volunteered. I was a drink ticket seller, so people came to me to get tickets to drink and party. So I got to hear a whole bunch of stories, and that was the first time I actually wore like the flags like as pins on anything I wore. And people were like noticing it, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, happy Pride girl. I'm like, happy Pride to you too. And it was so great. It was so wonderful to be accepted and recognized by like people in line, and it was such a good experience and so hella fun. Hella fun. Oh, thinking back on that, it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, that was my first Pride. I stayed a little bit after too, and I got there a little early, so I got to kind of go around and look at different booths, and I got like I got a free flag, a free progress flag, I got some free pins. It was so funny. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I told anyone this story, but the one booth was handing out like free condoms and like lube and all that kind of stuff because sex positivity is a thing. And the one booth teller came to me and like handed me this, and they're like, oh wait, I see your flag. You probably don't need this, do you? Unless there's a partner in your life and that you do need it. I was like, nope, nobody in my life, but thank you, I appreciate it. You guys do you, what you're doing here is great. And they're like, oh, thanks. So it was really sweet. It was so sweet to actually have that experience, but I just remember that kind of like trying to hand off these things to me and be like, oh, nope, you don't really need them unless you do. It was a good moment. I was pretty proud of that moment, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So Pride was great. That was end of June. And then in July, oh, I know what happens in July. Let me just check on the chat though real quick here. I think the strong inability to keep track of time without an outside accountability. I can't even estimate how long time has passed without timers, if that makes sense. Oh. It also tends to mean it's been a couple days when it's really been a week and a half. So I'm not great at keeping in touch because I misjudge how long it's been. Oh, Cece. I'm sorry. That sounds pretty difficult. I'm someone who's very organized with like time, although there are things that that inhabit me from doing things. Like today, for example, I was gonna wake up early, like 7 a.m. and then by 8 a.m. I was gonna be working because I have a huge deadline for curriculum development stuff, and so I was gonna work like a full 8 hours today. I think I was gonna go 8 to 12, take an hour break, 1 to 5, and do curriculum development and just work, kind of keep going on this. But then I woke up and like my brain was like, the world hates you and no one loves you. No one's gonna come to your stream tonight. No one's gonna talk to you. Everybody hates you. So have fun with those thoughts today. And I was like, solid. Thanks, depression. Thanks. So that's unfortunately been me today, which has been really shitty. Like I tried so hard to fight it to really no success at all. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just taking today off. I'm gonna put on something I enjoy. I'm gonna do something I enjoy and try to lift myself out of that little funk. And it didn't go away until I started streaming. I feel way better now that I'm streaming and rambling and talking, but before, no, not really. So there's that unfortunate problem for me. That's the only time where like I can see the time going by like faster. So I like woke up at 7, just laid in bed and kind of fell back asleep. Unfortunately, just like I was like, I'm out. Back asleep I go. And then I like woke up closer to 8 and I was like, well, I'm an hour behind. I'll work 9 to 1 today and then I'll do like 2 to 6 kind of thing. Or at least work 9 to 1, like the 4 hours minimum. Like give myself that like, 4 hours is decent. You'll get what you get done and then you'll be fine. And I couldn't even I opened up my work on my computer, tried so fucking hard to focus, and I was like, I'm going to feel like crying. I just feel like crying. So that was me today. I'm great. Okay. I missed my Pride event last year because I had a different festival pushed back with COVID. Gonna go this year though. Oh yay! I can't wait for you to go. If I remember to check dates before this end of July this time. Hey Cece, if we work together for 2023, maybe I'll poke you some messages in June and be like, hey, guess what? Or maybe I'll poke you in May and be like, hey, Pride is coming up. You should look for some local events, and I can help you out with that maybe. Because it's a good time. It's a very good time. Where was I? Oh, the rest of my summer. The rest of my summer, when I met you in the summer. Oh boy, that was loud. July, the next thing that I did that kept me pretty busy was Heritage Fest. Heritage Fest or... Yeah, Heritage Festival was next. So Heritage Festival here in my city is a festival where it's actually one of my favorite festivals in my city. We have a huge park here called Horlick Park, and it's a place, it's pretty big, and all these pavilions get set up, like all these tents, and there are different countries that are represented, and people who represent those countries come and they cook food, and they sell different traditional clothing. They share their own like little associations and societies that exist in my city, so that if you want to learn more about their culture, you can sign up with them. It's kind of that event is very cool, very fun. I love it a lot actually. And so I volunteered because I remember going to this festival all the time when I was in high school and university. And it's one of my favorite because you just go and you meet a lot of people. It's great weather usually, and it's a lot of fun. And and this year was interesting though because it was really hot. It was so hot, and I was an information person. So you would come to me after you got off the buses and be like, hi, I'm here to attend this year's like Heritage Festival. What should I know? Where can I go find like the Philippines tent? Or where can I go find Italy? Where can I go find India? All these things. So I would help people look at our huge, large map that we had on this like scaffolding thing, basically. And hand out like little physical maps for them and let them know like where they can go buy like electronic gift cards so they can use it at the tents and such. And it was really fun. And like a bunch of people were very nice. Like, most of them were nice, but there were some people who were a little rude, especially when I told them that this year usually we have like right in the center of the park is usually where you go to buy all like the food tickets that you would exchange for food and that kind of thing. Okay, traffic outside. Screw you. But yeah, so usually we in the center of the park is where all these like ticket vendors would be. You would exchange like money to get tickets, and then you would go to the tents and be like, oh yes, I'll give you 12 tickets for like a big plate of food. That kind of idea. Well, because of the pandemic, they went to a ticketless way of doing the festival, so you could go to each tent really with a debit card or Visa card or whatever and pay directly there for your dishes. And most dishes were really cheap. Nothing was really over, I don't think anything was over $16. I think most things stayed around like $14, $12, $10, $8, $4. Like it was pretty cheap in general, but I mean, if you do pay with your card, there's unfortunately that like stupid little service fee, like $2 or whatever. So it can add up if you buy a lot of food. But unfortunately, people still brought cash with them this year because they're like, oh, I can just exchange cash for tickets. So it was dumb about this year. And I will tell you why it's dumb. We had one little tiny booth, like a ticket booth. Only one. At the opposite end of the park where the buses were. And so people had to go from like all the way across this huge park we have in my city just to go there to take their cash, load it up onto like a preloadable gift card so they can use that gift card at all the vendors. So having to explain that over and over to like tens of 20s, 30s, 50 people all in one day was hard, because absolutely you are seeing so many people come, and then no wonder there's that occasional person who's like, well, that's dumb, I don't want to be here anymore, and like turn around and leave, and will blame you for it. It's like, I'm not the event organizer, I'm just a volunteer. Hello? Please leave me be. So it's kind of rough in that regard, and poor planning on their part, but it was still a really fun festival to be a part of, and I had a lot of fun. I just had a lot of fun, like talking to people about culture and all the performances I got to see. And I remember the last day I volunteered for, it was great because my sister came, and we went to the Japanese tents because they had a giant mascot Pikachu and Eevee, and we got there at the right time, like the perfect time, because there's like a little performance going on and they were dancing in like the little area established for the Japanese pavilion. So like they have like a little outdoor performance area set up, and so the Pikachu and Eevee were dancing with some kiddos. So cute. And then they announced after the performance that you can go and get a Pikachu with Eevee and Pikachu. You can go get a picture with Eevee and Pikachu, words. And so we waited in line and we absolutely did that. It was the best moment for me. It was like, Pikachu and Eevee. It was a good time. Really good. And we had some really good food at the Hong Kong pavilion. Oh my god. So much food. And we actually, at the Japanese pavilion, we got taiyaki, like the little fish pancakes. So good. So good. A great festival. It is a really great event, especially if you can't travel to see cultures. Exactly. And my city has a great venue. It's a huge park by the river valley. So like, while it was hot, there was still like places and moments where you can go to escape the heat a little bit, which was nice. Not for us poor information people who had to stay directly in that sunlight the entire time. And then we had like those quick rapid thunderstorms where like it is gone, it's like it arrives, comes, and is done in like 20 minutes, and you're like just left soaking wet. That happened too. So I got to experience a lot of just extreme weather differences in 2 days of volunteering there. It was like super hot and sunny, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die. To like, oh, now it's hot, muggy, and I'm soaking wet. Gotta love weather. But it was still a good event. It was really fun. And I remember the last day too, on my lunch break, I went and got like the cheapest samosas. They were like 50 cents on the last day. 50 cents for a samosa. Oh my god. I was so happy. You have no idea. Samosas are my shit. I love them. It was really good. It was so good. So there's that festival that I, again, volunteered at, because, again, lots of love for it. That's why I like to travel and see different cultures and such. So it was really special to actually finally, like, give back and volunteer there a bit. And really, really enjoyed it. Then the next big thing I did, well, not really volunteering events. I went to, this is going to sound very nerdy of me, so I apologize for how nerdy this is, but I went to a TikTok marketing conference in the summer. TikTok marketing conference. It was an event that I saw on LinkedIn. Finally, a use for LinkedIn. Finally. Besides for Toastmasters. But yeah, hey, I got LinkedIn, guys. What up? If you want to connect or follow me, I will, let me know, and I will send you shit for that. But I saw it on LinkedIn, and it was the time where I started a new position with Toastmasters. I became like the vice president of public relations. So my whole role is to like promote your club to the community and share to the community all the different events and cool things that your club is doing. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that role this year. Why not? So I did a lot of the PR work last year, and I was like, oh, I might as well just continue doing it in a more official capacity. Dragon's a professional this year. Look at me going to professional fancy events and all that jazz. Yeah, I really did. And the conference was interesting. Like, the start of it was really interesting because it was telling us, like, the origins of TikTok, like, why it's become such a huge thing for a lot of people. And at that point, I had just gotten TikTok. I didn't know how the hell to use it, to be honest. I was so lost. And so that's, like, also one reason why I wanted to go. I was like, well, maybe Toastmasters could use it, or maybe even I could use it to promote my own stuff, you know? Like, OutSchool, my classes on OutSchool, maybe I can promote, like, charity work, all the various things that I do that kind of connect together in a very weird way, and I'll get to that point a little bit more here soon. But yeah, I went to that conference, and yeah, the start was great, and like showed you like all the peak times for like when to post content, what content would work, how long your content should be, how many posts you should be doing a day, like all that stuff. Like, it was really interesting to learn that if you wanted to be a success. And the only thing that I really got out of it though in the end was like, this is a lot of work. Like, to be a professional on TikTok, that's a lot of work. And I'm really bad about like posting anywhere. YouTube became a huge flop this year for me, unfortunately. But I was very busy this year. You can't really blame me, right? I was very busy. And so the only thing I got from it is like, if I had the time to dedicate to TikTok, I would. But I just don't. I can't be posting like 2-3 times a day. I just don't have that time. And yeah, I know there's like you can always like keep stuff in your drafts and post them when you have the opportunity and all that whatever nonsense. But I'm like, no, I'll just go on there occasionally and be like, what's up, friends? Guess what? Hey, here's an update for you. My TikTok's very boring. I did use it quite regularly back during my teaching contract, just to be like, remember those days when? And I did talk about my OutSchool classes quite a lot on there at the beginning after that conference, but I never really stuck with it. Unfortunately, I like TikTok, but it's not my favorite. But I did learn a lot about marketing, and that definitely has helped me with my PR role this year for Toastmasters. So there's at least that. It helped me understand social media and that kind of stuff a bit better. And that's true, actually. You know what I just realized? I started to get more donations for Extra Life after that conference, when I started to be like, oh yeah, there's a scheduling feature on Twitter. I can schedule posts. Duh. And that helps. So I don't have to actively remember to like post things, because I swear to God, most of the time I'm like, oh god, okay, I have this meeting this time, I have to go here at this time, I have to leave the house at this time, I have to do this at this time, and my brain is just like so fully loaded of like things I have to do every day that social media and posting on that thing is usually not a priority. So I learned a few tricks like, oh yeah, I can schedule things on Twitter. You can post your TikToks out on Twitter as well to kind of get more views and all that jazz and interactions and such. So it was really interesting in that regard. So I did that. Went to a TikTok conference, TikTok marketing conference in, I think it was end of July, August-ish is when that was. And then another thing I got to do for fun this summer was anime-a-thon. Oh, so fun. I fucking loved it. It was very busy, a little overwhelming. Like, I went all 3 days to anime-a-thon here, and the first day was just like, I felt like a little kid in like a candy shop. I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. Look at all these things. I'm like, yeah, look at all the Pokemon and look at all this. And haha, because like we knew Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were coming out before Anime-a-thon. So I was like, oh my god, look at all the Pokemon. Pokemon was pretty hyped up. It was great. And then I saw some D&D stuff, which was like my heart and joy right now is D&D. And so it was really great to see some of these things and like fan art of like Critical Role characters, and just really all of that was wonderful. My favorite artists were there because I did go to a few other markets in the summer. Like between events, I went to some like local markets and supported a bunch of local artists too, and followed them on like social media. They followed me back. I totally did not fangirl because I was like, oh my god, I love your art so much. That's me. And so seeing a bunch of them there at Animathon was great because then I can go up to them in Artist Alley going like, hey Chelsea, and they're like, ah, Violet, hello. Yeah, it was really great to kind of have that happen. And then all the cosplay was amazing. There was so, surprisingly, there was so much Danganronpa cosplay, and at the time I was going through the game religiously on YouTube. And I loved the story. I was getting super into it. And so seeing like all the Junko cosplays, and it was so good. And like Chihiro and Makoto Hiro. There was a really good Hiro cosplay. I could not get his attention though to take a picture. I was so upset because he had the full on afro. Oh, it was so good. Anyway. Well, yeah, I had like a lot of like really amazing cosplays, and I got to take so many pictures of them. Followed a lot of cosplayers on social media during Animathon, and I discovered 2 new anime I liked. It was on Saturday. I was feeling overwhelmed, so I was kind of hitting that limit of like, oh gosh, so many people. I'm surrounded by a bunch of people. I'm alone. I don't have friends here. I need to go hide for a while. I need to just go hide. And so first time I hid, quote unquote hid, I went to an anime viewing room, and they had Spy Family on. And I've heard nothing but great things about Spy Family, so I was like, might as well go check it out finally, and stop being that person who's like, oh, it's overhyped because everybody's talking about it. First episode in, I was like, oh god, I'm into it. And I was only going to stay and watch like 2 episodes. Like that was the original plan. And I stayed for all 4 that they showed during the Animathon. I stayed for all 4. And the same thing happened later that day with Scarlet Nexus. And every time I talk about Scarlet Nexus, people are like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, no, go watch it. It is so fucking rad. It's like this whole Red Strings fate theory, these psionic powers and abilities, cool weapons, cool fighting techniques and strategies, and it like very interesting storylines, so many plot twists, really well done, like very, very well done. And the 4 episodes, I was like, I want more. What the fuck? Don't end it here. I need more. And so I messaged Spam, I messaged Daryl, and I was like, I have an anime we need to watch. And he's like, oh no, what? And sure enough, we're not done watching it yet. We're very close, but he's in the Philippines right now, so we don't have time to watch anime because time difference. Demons. On bed. Demons! I don't like demons. Phantoms. Haha, bed. And so yeah, I was like, we have to watch this anime, and we were like very into it. We love it a lot. Scarlet Nexus is so good. And we watched, I think it was about 10 episodes in, that we both had to look up like, who made this anime? And we found out that the anime came out, and then very shortly after, they came out with a game. And, well, if you came to my, if you were here at my game day for Extra Life, I played a bit of it. It was so fun, so cool. So cool. So, those are the 2 animes I discovered this year and really, really enjoyed because of Animathon. Thank you, Animathon. Love you. You're the best. What else did I enjoy about Animathon? Oh, I did go see the 404s. They are an improv, like, nerd group that are very popular. Like, very, very popular. They've been coming to, like, Edmonton's Animathon for years. And so everybody was very excited that they were back this year. Yay! And we're, like, celebrating. I was like, I don't know who the fuck they are, but the person I was dating at the time, before they ghosted me, We went on 3 dates and then I got ghosted. My life is tragic, isn't it? But she recommended that I go, and I was like, okay, absolutely, let's do this, let's figure this out. Creeper. 2 creepers. Don't like this. Sirs, gentlemen, please no. Creeper, no. Bye. Creeper, no. Bye. Bye, creeper. What was I talking about? I lost track of what I was talking about. Oh, it's still dark. I don't like it. Has anyone donated? I wouldn't mind switching to farming if anyone has some monies to donate. Hide. I'm just gonna hide up here in this little nook. It's like my anime-a-thon. Yeah, so the 404 improv group, I wasn't allowed to take videos of them because it was like a no pants thing. They basically did like a whole skit, and the audience gave different like prompts or different answers to different questions that they had, and they put together a skit based on all that. Improv comedy is great, and whoever performed the least best, or whoever performed the best, I don't remember which one it was now, we like clapped as loudly as we could, and they had to like rip off their pants and do a dance. Hilarious. It was really great. A very fun time. Really enjoyed it. Good time. So anime-a-thon was like a fun thing, but I definitely want to go with friends next time, so I'm hoping Daryl gets a chance to come up here in July for when it is, because going with a friend would be much better. I might be more like willing to go to some of these like in panels that I was like, I don't know if I would like it, and then have all the social anxiety that comes with all that. Yeah. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, anime-a-thon was great. Then it was the Fringe Festival, where I volunteered for 4 days there, but I ended up it's an 11-day festival here, and I ended up being at the festival for like 8 days of the 11, because I love theater. I didn't know how much I loved theater until I lived in London. Like London, England, because I saw Lion King, Phantom of the Opera, A Comedy of Errors. Was that? Yeah, Comedy of Errors, Hamlet, and Hunchback of Notre Dame. London really unlocked that, like, I love theater and play so much. And I ended up applying fairly late to be a volunteer, but they needed volunteers so much. And I got to volunteer. They literally, like, if there's a Fringe festival near any of you where you live, I recommend giving a look at all the shows, because you probably will find something for you. Like, our Fringe festival, for example, had a YAG D&D improv show. Like, a D&D improv show, and it was so cool, because they had, like, a premise for the campaign, they had the characters set out, but then they would make a decision in the moments, and the audience got to come and roll up these huge, large, like, dice. And I remember being offended a little for a very dumb reason. The large purple dice that they had, like the D20, was for the bad guys, and the red dice was for the heroes. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a bad guy, so I rolled the hero dice when I went up. I went and saw that show twice. I rolled a 2 and a 3. And I was like, well, I guess the purple dice is telling me I should have picked it, because, woof, those are bad rolls. It led for some funny things happening in the play, though. So, I'll take it. It was great. But I was like, oof. Oof. I swear you have a 6 cents for it. Of course you managed to find the festival D&D. Of course I have a 6 cents for it. Yeah. That's the other thing I did at Anime-a-thon. I played D&D at Anime-a-thon. I forgot about that. I played D&D at Anime-a-thon. I spent 2.5 hours of my time at Anime-a-thon playing D&D. And it was so good. My dumb, ditzy rogue cleric I played may or may not have caused a bunch of drinks to splatter all over the dance floor. Good times, good times. I do definitely have that curse of like, if you've been dungeon mastering for so long, and that's what I do. I dungeon master, 3 times a week? Currently, early in the year, I was DMing like 5 times a week. As soon as I become a player, bad rolls. Crappy, shitty rolls. Yeah, it checked out. Oh, all the time. But yeah, I played D&D and Animathon. It was really fun. It was like a heist little situation, so we had to like fake our way into it. We had to try to impress the person for whatever reason. I don't remember why, but yeah, it was like a little heist situation. We were successful in the end, barely, but it was a chaotic heist. And poor me, I got like the rogue cleric who's like semi-serious. I'm like, oh fuck. Of course I got this character. So yeah, I have a sixth sense for a lot of D&D things. I really do. I really do. I played D&D and Animathon. I went to D&D improv shows at the Fringe. I also know that they do D&D improv shows actually locally here too. It just like never works out for time, but maybe I gotta look into seeing some of their other stuff in the new year, because they do more than D&D improv. They do like Magic the Gathering. They've done like murder mystery stuff. They've done drag shows. It's a really cool like production company. So I gotta like, that's all you need, right? That's the 3 loves of my life: improv, D&D, and drag. That's it. There you go. So I think that might be a plan of my new year, is to go watch a few of these shows. Because I think the tickets are only like $16, so it's not too bad at all. So maybe I'll go check them out and actually see them outside of the Fringe finally. That might be a goal. But yeah, so I saw Yeg Improv D&D. I volunteered there as an ambassador, so I was like hyping people up as they came into the festival grounds, like, hey, welcome to the Fringe. Do you have any questions? Can I help you find anything? Do you need any recommendations? I'm your girl. I was that person. I was part of the hype squad. And that took a lot of energy. Not gonna lie. But I really liked it, because I was like, oh, I do have this like social being. I am social. I can bring in the energy when I have it and need it. And we were also handing out little stickers too. It was really fun. The kids really loved the like not so little fringer sticker that we had, because they wanted to feel like part of the big kid crew. So it was really fun. There's also a sticker that made me laugh so hard when I first saw it, when my team lead came over and was like, hey, here's some stickers. We got one here. It's like first time fringer, frequent fringer, a few of the others, like Yeg Fringe 2022 sticker. And then there was another huge, large green sticker that was like, I'm just here for the beer. And I was like, respect. I like these people. They're totally being dragged out here because of their friends, or their wives, or their families, or their kids. And the only reason they go is like, they have beer tents and wine tents. That's why I'm going. So a lot of people were like, oh, I want that sticker, please. I don't blame them. At one point, my volunteer shirt had like all the stickers on them. All the stickers. And by the time I was done my shift, or by the time I was done leaving the Fringe grounds, most of the stickers had fallen off, because I was a hot mess. Because again, very hot summer here, and it was not a good time. Not a good time. But still had a lot of fun. I saw a lot of shows. I saw, oh boy, what did I see? I saw Yay D&D twice. I saw Mark of the Minotaur, which is really good. Let's see if I can remember all this. This is a few months ago. If I can remember all this, oh, I'm talented. Yay D&D twice. Treasure Island was one. That was really cool. It's like a pirate comedy. Very funny. I saw Iago versus Hamlet, which is, I mean, if you know Shakespeare, that's a Shakespeare parody. Oh, freaking hilarious. I love that one. That was actually one of my favorites, besides Yay D&D, because of just like, they didn't just bring in quotes and lines from Hamlet and Othello. They brought in all the Shakespearean quotes a little bit, like, well, if we can't agree, then I bite my thumb at you, sir. And I was like, Romeo and Juliet. I was able to identify some of the other, like, plays, because I'm an English nerd. I'm an English major, too, in university, so I was like, this is my scene. I love it. And then I love Mark of the Minotaur, because it's Greek mythology, and I love Greek mythology. And I love history, too. They had a historian element to it. It was really well done. And then, yeah, D&D, I could talk about that all day if I wanted, but it was really fun. And had D&D, so there you go. I also saw, Mi Habana Querida, which is like my dear Havana, and like, Cuba, Havana, yeah, Havana. And that was beautiful. It tied in so many different elements of Cuban history with like Fidel Castro, a lot of the like Afro-Cuban culture too, because of, you know, slavery and that unfortunate element to it. So it was just beautifully done. It was basically like a musical, like a dance musical, but still had acting and told a story. And it was like a love story, but with like so many different conflicts and historical elements to it. It was so well done. And I follow that entire production crew on Instagram. Because I was like, I love this show. I was exhausted after a day of volunteering, but I was like, I need something beautiful and unique to watch. So, yeah, let's go watch Mi Habana Querida. It was so good. I really, still a beautiful story. I loved it so much. I also saw, I'm trying to remember what this one was called. Well, I saw a queer musical history with my sister and my friend Jade. That was really fun. Evan is a talented boy. Oh my goodness. He basically, it was like kind of like a historical presentation a little bit about like queer artists who were like living their life and being inexplicably queer despite an industry that tried to shut them out. And it was so and he was like able to tell the story, he presented like a presentation, then he like sang some of the songs, and it got like pretty emotional at one point because the composer for a lot of Disney songs, like for Beauty and the Beast and for Little Mermaid, like those like movies and such, A Tale as Old as Time has such a sad fucking story to it, because the composer, I don't remember his name right now, oh my gosh, but the composer found out that he had AIDS. Like, this was back again in that period where, yeah, it was so much bullshit, let's be honest. And poor stereotypes and treatments against gay men, and unfortunately he got AIDS, and a lot of his treatments had happened in New York. But Disney did not want to lose him because they weren't quite done Beauty and the Beast yet. So they actually packed up their entire studio and went to New York to finish it, just to be where he was, and he passed away shortly after. So like, he sang A Tale as Old as Time, and like hearing the lyrics now from that lens and that perspective, heartbreaking, fucking heartbreaking. And same like Part of Your World, from a queer lens, it hurts so much, but I love it. It was so good. And then I saw one, and then I saw a strange one. I don't remember what it was called anymore. It was like a solo person doing it. And honestly, I really should have looked up what the play was about before I went. Because it was like a musical, and I was like, oh, cool, like a musical dance autobiography. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to check that out. That seems interesting. It was all Leonard Cohen songs, and I'm not a huge Leonard Cohen fan. Like, I just didn't know enough of Leonard Cohen to, like, recognize what was going on. But the woman who did it was really talented. Because at the end, after she performed her 9 songs... Oh, come on. Sorry. I'm trying to focus on, like, getting that little crystal. There we go. Because after she performed the, like, 9 songs that she had set for her story, she actually was like, okay, we still have some time here. Any recommendations? And I was like, recommendations of what? And it was on my way out that I read the sign and I was like, oh, Leonard Cohen. Duh. It was awkward. Not my favorites, but it's all good. And then I saw a play that had that was about a trans person. That was like heartbreaking, beautifully told story. It was like these two guys who were playing like their two selves, like dealing with this identity and like who they were and telling the story and acting out their emotions. It was so good. It was so good. It like had me laughing so hard and crying. It was so good. It was so good. I wish I remember what it was called, but I don't. I saw a couple outdoor performances too at the Fringe. Undead Newlyweds was really fun. It's like, no, darling, leave our patrons alone. We need their money. Don't bother. Don't steal from the patrons. Come now, darling. We have a show to put on. It was very fun. The bride said nothing the entire time, but it was the husband who was like dictating the story and doing all the cool like outdoor theater tricks and such. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was really hot though, and I was in the sun, direct sunlight, so I didn't stay for the full thing, unfortunately. But it was still really fun. I liked it. It made me giggle a lot, and what's surprising too with what people can do with fire. Like, yeah, it's frightening. It's frightening. Yeah, the Fringe was great. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. There's a creeper over there. We're just gonna back the fuck up. Go up here. And we're gonna not deal with a creeper. So yeah, the Fringe was great. It was pretty intense. Like, I had a lot going on in terms of like preparing, like getting my finances in order and doing a lot of stuff, but it was nice just to be like, oh, I'm gonna go and I can escape all the stress of life and go watch a bunch of shows and volunteer. So it was great. It was good in that sense. It was a nice escape when I was trying to figure out my finances at that point. Because I had to go on EI because I was not working in the summer and I wasn't allowed to substitute until like the school year started. So I had no income really coming in at one point, so it was hard to figure out EI, but I got there. I figured it out. It's all good. I love seeing the different stage and fire tricks people can do, but man, I would be terrified to try it myself. Oh my god. Right? I saw this one person, again, it was like not really a vocal show, like she didn't speak at all. She was just doing a bunch of tricks on like a unicycle with fire. And I was like, you have a lot more bravery than I would to do that stuff. No thank you. I would never do that. So yeah, I agree with you. It's amazing to watch, but yeah, as soon as everyone's like, would you like to come up and volunteer? I'm like, no. I would like to stay here in the shade where I know that I can't cause any accidents. So yeah, I never like to volunteer for that stuff. Never. But it was still so fun. It was so much fun. And that was the Fringe. So that leads me to September. Wow. Guys, how long have I been streaming for? Almost an hour and 40 minutes and I'm only on September? Oh boy. I have to actually backtrack a little bit for a couple things. So, back in June, was it? June? Yeah, it was back in June where I saw an ad on Facebook. Look at me finding random shit on Facebook and going like, I could do that. That's another kind of good summary of my year. A little bit. Like me finding the TikTok marketing conference I did was on Facebook, or it was on LinkedIn. And then I found this mentorship program by a company called Intravivos. And it was an advertisement saying we're looking for proteges to join the 2S LGBTQIA+ mentorship program starting from July to December. And I was like, well, I'm a baby member of the Pride community. I'm a baby. I just came out. I don't know really anyone in the community. I mean, I had very much good fun at Pride, but I didn't get anybody's numbers. I didn't make any connections there. And so I was like, well, maybe I should do this and maybe meet like a... So the whole purpose of the program basically was that all the mentors were from like the community, from the queer community. And so I was like, well, that would be great, because then I could ask them for some support and connections to kind of get more connected with like the Pride community here in my city. I can also like share more about like I have this idea about how to teach D&D classes using an inclusive queer lens, and maybe there's something that can come from that. And I'm also like all over the place. I need like a permanent kind of stable-ish job or career or something. And so I signed up. I did it. And my mentor is amazing. Josh is like one of my favorite humans that I've ever met. Because the first meeting was so awkward. He's like, I can tell that you're nervous. So instead of me jumping the gun and going like, what are your goals? What can I help you do? What can I help you achieve? Let's just get to know each other better. So what do you like? What do you like to do? What are you a part of? What's your thing? Tell me about you. And I was like, oh, that's much more comfortable. It's easier to talk about than I would like help with a career. I was that nervous. But yeah, I got talking. I was like, yeah, so I'm part of Toastmasters. I joined it to try to meet new people, make friends, but I'm finding myself much more involved with like learning leadership skills now and not really getting those relationships from it. So I'm definitely like, I'm very grateful. I learned how to public speak better. I know how to organize speeches. I know how to write speeches. I know how to deliver speeches. I can communicate much better with more confidence. It even led me starting a podcast at one point. Very valuable. Like, Toastmasters has been great. But it's the friendship part that I don't have, really, with anybody there. And still don't, to this day, really. Slowly getting better, a little bit. But that's because they're involving me in so much stuff. Oh my god, I'm going to be so busy next year. Because of Toastmasters. And so the love of public speaking, that finding of confidence, finding my voice, that was something he heard in that conversation. And then I told him about Out School and how I've been teaching D&D classes, and I even got like surprised by one class that I taught earlier in the year that all of the students were queer in some form or another, like non-binary, aromantic. I had one person who was agender, like just didn't have a gender, didn't want to be classified as any, like, she didn't want to use she, her, they, them, nothing, like, agender. And, like, they all brought in those kinds of characters to the story, and I was like, oh my god, I can do that! I can also bring those kinds of characters into my fucking story. Holy crap. And that, like, changed everything. Like, that was back in April? Yeah, like, it was early in the year where I had that class. March, April, May is kind of when I taught them. Or taught them all, and it was amazing. Like, the characters we made together, the stories we told. What's your gender? Nope. Exactly. And it made me change how I taught my classes. And since then, people were like, wait, so, go back. Can you describe that character again for me? What are they? And I was like, yeah, you caught on to the they part. And, like, it's been amazing. And so I was telling Josh about that. And he's like, well, you need to promote that. I was like, how? How do I do that? And he's like, business cards. You can also join a bunch of different, like, local queer groups on Facebook that would totally share that and support you with it. And let's start with there. Join some Facebook groups. Try to get connected with the community in those groups. Make those business cards, hand them out to different places that are like LGBTQ friendly, and see how it goes. And he saved my butt, because at the end of August I was like feeling the strain financially. I was like not doing well. But then I had a whole flood of different students that were doing a bunch of one-shots with me, and I was like, oh, look at that, I'm getting people, yay. since then it's been quiet, and unfortunately I might not be able to teach any classes in January. After the 2 campaigns I got going on, I'm going to keep going with them, but after that I won't be able to teach anybody until, or open any new classes up until February, unfortunately, because I just can't afford to do a police check right now, because I have to do an updated police check once a year. So I can't afford that right now. I can't afford anything right now, which just sucks. But I get paid tomorrow, some point tomorrow, so it'll be okay. But I'm like, oh shit, finances are gonna suck in January a lot. But anyway, that was like a huge success. I was like, well, you gotta promote that, join. And plus I was also saying that like I really want to get connected to the community a bit more. And he was like, yeah, join those like local Facebook groups, watch out for the events that they post, attend them, make sure you ask people questions and like what they thought about the show or what they thought about the event, and if they've come to the event before, like ask those nice little open-ended questions and get people talking, and you'll be surprised at like the people you meet. Long story short, I have like a few local friends, and I hang out with like maybe one of them occasionally, besides our online D&D group that meets somewhat weekly. So there's that. But it was so nice to join these groups and just see what people were talking about, looking at all the different events. And then suddenly Facebook, because Facebook's good at it, started catering like events to pop up on my line, or on my timeline. And there's so many that will pop up now that are very like queer focused. So many drag shows, and like right now there's like so many New Year's Eve things going on. I'm like, fuck, I wish I had money. I would love to go to all these things. But no, I don't got money for it. So no fun pride stuff for me for New Year's. But that's okay. It's okay. So I did that. That was like after our first meeting. I was starting to do all that and like rethink things in that lens just after one meeting with my mentor. Second meeting was great because I was like, Josh, guess what? Josh, guess what? And he's like, yes. And he's like, I handed out business cards. I made them. This is what they look like. I also made business cards for substituting because substitutes, it was recommended that I make business cards as a substitute. So here's what they look like. So I did this. Here's all the groups I joined on Facebook. And I was just like a happy little like student almost. Like, look, like teacher, look, I did the work. I did it. I did it so good. And Josh, look, I had like 13 students at the end of August to take my classes. Josh, look. And he's just like, see, you know that you're offering, what you're offering is good, and you deserve to know that, and people deserve to have your services. Yes, good for you. And I was like, he's proud of me. I was such a little kid at that point, and then I was like, and he's just like, okay, well, that's a great first step. So what else do you want to work on? I'm like, well, I don't know per se. And he's like, well, let's talk about it. So you've made the business cards. That's a great first step. And you've been posting in the Facebook groups, right? I'm like, yeah, I've been posting fairly regularly there. He's like, good. So now the next step is, because you're now recognizing your self-worth and the services you're offering, start to hit up organizations, local community-run things like the Pride Center. You can hit up like these other organizations in like Edmonton and Alberta in general, and like connect with them, see if you can offer anything for them, give them your business card, one of your new business cards, and hopefully they'll reach back out to you and want you to have your services. And then try to go to he wanted me to go to very specific events where there's like, you go and do something basically, and then you have the chance to like mix and mingle afterwards. So like a show or anything like that. That way you can start making friends and make connections and such. And I was like, oh, okay. Because it's like, that's how you make friends. It's if there's a chance to like meet up beforehand or afterwards, then you have a chance to talk to people and get to know people and what they thought about the show. And if they know there's any other shows going on, you can go with them. I was like, that's a good idea. Oh my god, that's so smart. Is that how people make friends? I'm like, is that how you make friends? What? So blown away by that piece of advice. Still didn't work because unfortunately the one event that I found that was perfect for me because of my background in English, like being an English major, love writing, love poetry, love the arts. I also love public speaking and confidence building and telling stories because I'm a dungeon master in D&D. There's a legitimately, it's just like I can see the building where that event is held from my window. Like that's how close it is to me. But it happens on Wednesdays, like the third Wednesday of every month. And I have a fucking Toastmasters meeting on the third Wednesday of every month. It's so heartbreaking because I went once because I really wanted to go and check it out. I freaking loved it, and it normally wouldn't be a problem because I'm a Toastmaster, I'm a member, I pay for the service that I get. Like I go as much as I can, etc. What's a little different though about this club is that I am actually the president of the club. So it's pretty much expected of me to like go to meetings regularly, especially when this club is very small and it's hard to get our regular members to even show up. So I've had to forfeit that amazing thing that I found for Toastmasters. But hey, at least I know things like that exist and I can kind of keep an eye out for them on different days of the week, hopefully, right? Like, So that's unfortunate, but the main thing that happened is after that second meeting with Josh, I did connect with the Pride Center. I went with my sister and her friend from work. They went for a work reason. I went for my D&D services reason. And I was like, oh, here they have my business card. They said they would contact me, but like, we all know that, right? Like, yeah, we'll get back to you and we have the opportunity to look at our future programming and let you know if we can slot you in. And I was like, well, that's that. I probably won't hear back from them. Just as I was going to go and follow up with them, I got an email, and long story short, I ended up running 2 Queer Out D&D sessions this year with the Pride Center. Oh, they're amazing. So much fun. I like purposely crafted unique like non-binary characters, 7 characters of different orientations, and we made characters together for the first session. Just like a very generic, like basic, like this is what D&D is, and this is why you need a character. This is how a character works. So Cece, what your sister took my classes, I believe, and she went through all of that with me. Like, this is what a character is. This is how combat works in D&D. Did that with them in the first session. And then the second session with the group, I actually ran a one-shot, and it was a fun one-shot. It was like a pirate ship where they had just retrieved treasure that was stolen from them, stolen from the Sawagans, and they had just retrieved it, and then they got ambushed by the Sawagans, and so they had to defend themselves and fight their way out of it. It was so much fun. And they really enjoyed how I ran the sessions, how inclusive it was. I never like messed up anybody's pronouns, nothing. I was very respectful to them and their decisions and what the story they wanted to tell was. It was very cool. And in the new year, when they come back from break, because everybody's still on break, they are going to bring me back to do more. So I'm so excited. So that was a really good positive outlook on that. And I'm currently actually I was working with the one Pride Center director on helping me create a business profile where I can put down all the D&D classes I offer at Out School on there, but also like other services I do. Professional D&D teacher, right, professional D&D teacher, speaker, workshop leader, just professional D&D. Just that's me. Professional D&D person at your service. And so I've been working on that. Canva is something new that I've been working with though, so it's a little finicky for me to like learn a new program. But I'm hoping to finish that for the new year, or in the new year, so then I can be like, when I go to these organizations, be like, hey, hi, this is zombie. This is a zombie. Now don't sit on my block, you bitch. Sorry. I got into that a little bit. Okay. I'm a professional zombie. Actually, that's a mood with how tired I get sometimes. But anyway, creating this business profile would be great because then when I go to organizations like the Pride Center or any of the other things that I might reach out to be like, hey, let me do this for you or let me help you out with this, I can give them a personal profile with like a list of services I can offer and help with. Because what I love about D&D, and actually I watched a video today where the Critical Role cast for Exandria Unlimited were talking about this quite a bit, about how this is such a unique experience because it teaches you how to communicate with others, teaches you a lot about team building, storytelling, improv, strategy, planning, organizing, all these like very valuable skills in life, all like inherently learned through playing the game. And so that's what I love about it too. It gave me confidence to try on a silly voice every once in a while, or to even stretch my imagination and paint like beautiful word pictures and become more descriptive with my language, like all those skills. And so that's why I want to create a business profile, to be like, I can run workshops and show you why like gamification that's a fancy fucking word now, ain't it? Why gamification of education is so important, because it adds fun, it adds flair, but also can inadvertently teach you a lot of really amazing personal skills that will lead you to be quite successful in life. So yeah, that's like stuff I want to do this year. Because you can run workshops like that, but we gotta mix it up a little bit. We want to have, like, I can go to different workplaces and be like, how many of you are used to the same ways of talking and communicating with each other in the office? The same, like, to whom it may concern, or salutations, and like all that formal language. Who has to deal with that quite a lot? I'm like, all the hands raised. I'm like, great, but let's try to make our work a little more exciting by using different language. And one of the best ways to like become more descriptive and more interesting with the way you communicate about things is through gaming, and like talk about it that way. And then also be like, if your workplace isn't inclusive, sit down in one of my D&D sessions and I'll show you how easy it can be to be inclusive just by one quick switch and one quick change. And like do that kind of work. I think it would be very valuable, very important work to do. So that's a big thing that came out of my experience with Josh, is doing that. My third meeting with him was like my final meeting, and it was like emotional, and he's like, okay, let's recap how these 6 months have gone. And I was like, well, I started with no idea what I was doing. And he's like, yep. To now having paid opportunities to do things that I love, get more involved in like the queer community, realizing the value of what I offer, knowing my self-worth, and recognizing that, hey, I deserve this. And I'm also looking to expand and change things and make sure life is just a little more safer and inclusive for people. And he was just like, oh, we need more people like you in our life. And I was like, okay. And so with some of the projects I'm going to be working on in the new year, my mentor actually wants me to keep in touch with him a little bit and let him know about like any updates on like the big projects I'm doing this year. So I was like, oh, like I'm making a little connection at the end of this and wanting to stay in touch with me. I didn't expect that with mentor. I was like, cool, mentorship done, bye. But nah, it wasn't like that. So it's really cool. It was really special 6 months there. Honestly, like, oh my god, guys, it's the end of 2022, and sitting here realizing that, like, I know who I am, demisexual, pansexual, queer. I am also a teacher, professional speaker, workshop leader, someone who cares about inclusivity, education. I know a little bit more of my value system now. Who can say that? at the end of this year? Who can say, like, I know who I am, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is how I can expand and make my interest more valuable to others, and show them that, like, hey, this is the new way. This is where we're going with education, and this is the way life is going, and how professional settings are going. It's so cool. It is so cool. Like, finding this out about myself has been, like, a journey, and it's been so wonderful. So wonderful. Oh my gosh. And what's cool is, like, I'm taking all these things that I'm doing in my life and kind of putting it all together in different ways. So I am much more confident in public speaker because Toastmasters. I am also now a public speaking coach and teacher through TalkMaze, and that's all because of my Toastmasters experience and what I've learned there. Then you throw in D&D, and you have to be able to communicate things in D&D because sometimes you don't have a map or you don't have pictures to work with. So you have to be able to be descriptive and communicate effectively in D&D. And then I'm teaching that through my D&D classes, through my public speaking classes, and at the end of 2022, that no one expected, I am now working on the curriculum side of public speaking and trying to gamify the curriculum with TalkMaze so that students are engaged, enjoying the learning of public speaking. That's usually a very terrifying thing for many to go through. And, like, all of it's just interweaving and connecting together, like, all the skills that I'm getting from each one of these opportunities I've had is just making me feel like more of me, more of, like, who I am. So that's why 2022 has been a phenomenal year in many ways, like, in so many ways. There are downsides to it. Like, I've made friends, like, oh my god, Ryan, Jade, Elle, Claire, Laura, so many people. Cece, even you, we're kind of getting a little bit more closer together. We had an attempt, and we're going to keep on attempting. Oh my god, what's happening outside of my city? I just saw, like, the flashing lights outside. Oh my god, calm down, Edmonton. Anyway, like, that's why this year was so good. But, like, on the downside of it, like, I met all these amazing online friends, which has been wonderful, and some in-person friends. There's a full-ass, like, chase scene out there. Oh my god. That's a lot of fire trucks. Y'all okay out there? They're driving by. They're gone. Bye. The downside to it all, though, is, like, even though I made all these friends, and it's amazing, I'm, like, still considered a new friend in many ways, which is kind of a sad thing to see. I'm a new, very close friend to a lot of these people. But, like, there's not the initiative to hang out. Or there's not the initiative to kind of keep in touch a little bit outside of, like, that weekly D&D game or the bi-weekly D&D game and that kind of idea. And that's kind of what's been sad. Like, I can see these people online everywhere, like, just easily communicating bam, 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 bam between people. And I'm like, why you not do that to me? How come I'm no part of the conversation? And it's a little selfish, I know. But, like, that's why I wish I had, like, I know I have people in my life. I have many people. I built a whole, like, community and family. That's been beautiful and surprising and amazing, especially with Extra Life. But then there's the other hand where it's like, but yet, I must be still doing something wrong because no one wants to actually hang out with me outside of the activities we are currently doing. And that's been a little hard because it's like, what am I doing wrong that, like, they don't want to hang out with me outside of these activities? Like, they don't want to, like, watch a movie with me, or they don't want to, like, go do something, like, go to gaming stores without my sister. Like, like, everything I have to do, like, I have one friend that's great. I love hanging out with her, but it's always with my sister, too. And it's like, you know? So it's just like, I want to be like, when is my time where, for once, I'm not the one making the plans, I'm not the one reaching out, I'm not the one doing all the effort. Who's gonna do that for me? And that's actually been like the core of like how I've been feeling at the end of the year. Which sucks, because the end of the year I should be like, all like, woohoo, 2022 is freaking over. Look at this amazing year. We've done so much together. Yeah! Like, I should be in that state of mind, because again, this year was phenomenal for me. But I'm not, because at the end of the year, guess who is still celebrating New Year's alone? Guess who has still been alone this entire week in the holidays? Me. Like, I'm still so incredibly alone in many aspects. I've been able to fill the void a little bit by watching D&D shows, and I've got this new job that I'm working on, like curriculum developments. So like, I'm doing busy work and it helps, but it's not the same, if that makes sense. Because like, everybody else is like making plans and having fun and doing all this cool stuff, and I'm left here kind of going like, oh, so this is what it's like to not really have a close relationship with family. This is what it's like to not really have made friends in Toastmasters, to go and do things with them. This is what it feels like to not have made those close friends at any of the like volunteering I did, or any of that. Like, I don't have any people to go do things with. Like, this is, I still failed in that regard, and that sucks. You know, like, I'm still left at the end of the year, I'm still by myself. And that's been a little hard to come to terms with a little bit. But hey, it's all good. I'm alive. I got cool stuff going on. And one of these days, the cool stuff I got going on will lead to more awesome people coming into my life and actually being like, hey, we've been working really fucking hard on all this stuff. Do you want to go, like, do something for fun afterwards? Be like, yes, please. Like, eventually I'll find people like that again in my life. Eventually. But right now, no. So that's the only downside to 2022, is like, great, amazing online new friends, hell yeah. I got a new D&D group going on here, which is fucking rad. I am doing a lot of D&D in my life right now, which I didn't expect. And I have made many friends, made many connections, but I'm not really anyone's choice yet. I'm still not anyone's choice, or I'm not really that person that people want to be around outside of the things that we do. So, it's sad. And I realize it's so selfish to want that. Oh my god, that's what makes it worse about my brain and how it works. I'm like, you're being selfish right now. Stop it. People have lives. It's busy. It's the holidays. They don't have to spend time with you. They have family and like loved ones they need to be with. They don't need to spend time with you. Shut up. But on the other hand, it's like, but am I a loved one to anyone? No. So, yeah, there's that. There's that. I made it. I made a slime. Oh, yeah, there we go. Look at this. I made a skelly boy. I made a slime. What up? I mean, I guess the other, like, amazing, successful thing this year is, like, look at the extra life bar. We hit $1,000. Not only did we hit it, we freaking surpassed it with, like, by $60. Oh my, like, that was actually a surprise to me. And my return to streaming. I left 2020 hating streaming. Did you know that, CC? Like, in 2020, I stopped streaming after game day because I hated it. I hated how it made me feel. because game day in 2020 was not successful. I didn't receive any donations. I had like 3 people stop by my chat. That was it. And like it was near the beginning of the stream that they hung out with me in the 24 hours I did. And like nothing really happened. I just switched from game to game, and I remember very clearly going to like, I think it was the last game I was playing in that 24-hour stretch where I'm like, I turned off my mic and just played the game. It was so sad because I was just so discouraged at like, because I'm part of a team for Extra Life. I'm part of the Edmonton team. And so throughout the stream day, I would like pop into other people's streams and just seeing like donations rolling in and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh man, what the fuck? And again, I should have been more kinder on myself. It was my first year. And I joined Extra Life real fucking late. I joined it like just before game day and like put things together fairly last minute. And so, but I did promote it quite a lot in October leading up to game day in 2020. And I was like, well, okay, people are gonna come. We're gonna be great. I was still friends to a lot of people. It's gonna be fucking great. And then I was like, I have nobody. And so then I was like so bitter with it, and I was like, I'm fucking done, and I'm just doing YouTube, because YouTube was easier at that point for me, because I could record a video, upload it, write a description, all that stuff, leave it there, and I wouldn't have to worry about the numbers, and I can come back and be like, oh my god, hey, fucking cool, 3 people watched my video, amazing. Whereas streaming was harder for me back like the last couple of years, because I could be doing this, I could be rambling, talking away, and then I'll look in the chat and nothing. And that was so hard to deal with, was the nothing, you know? But then this year I was like, you know what? Nah, I miss it. I do miss streaming. And I know some people out there are gonna be like, oh, you're just streaming Minecraft. You should play other games. And yeah, I plan on playing other games. It's just that Minecraft has been a nice little comfort for me in the last couple months while dealing with this very heavy loneliness that I've been feeling. Plus, it's been nice because I do have people who want to come and hang out with me, like UCC, and Han has been here a few times, and we've gained followers in the last little while, and I was like not expecting any of that. So that I was like, oh, is this my comeback? And is Dragon back? Am I back? I kind of want to be back, you know? I kind of want to come back. Maybe not twice a week like I've been doing in the new year, because I've got projects up the wazoo to do. But maybe once a week I can aim for a nice little cheeky 2-3 hour stream and be like, hey, how's it going, world? You all want to keep me company? You want to help raise money for Extra Life? Come hang out. We're gonna have a good time. So it's been nice to come back this year. Like, coming back in November was a very impulse thing to do. I was like, well, Spam's streaming Minecraft with me. I'm playing Minecraft with him. Oh, why don't I just stream it? Like, why don't I just join him and we can multi-stream it, and it'll be a good chance for me to, like, promote my Extra Life, get that last, like, month or 2 push before the deadlines, and here we are. We are here. We're back. I've been back for a couple months now, playing Minecraft and the occasional Stardew Valley. And we've hit our goal. And we've gained followers. And I've been raided a few times, and it's just like, oh, okay. This is what I wanted 2 years ago. It just took some time. It just took a little bit of time. So I'm back, baby. Dragon is back. And I'm glad to be back. Yeah. No! I don't want it to break. Repair. Oh boy. Yes, demons? Are any monsters out here? No monsters. Okay, we're good. We keep going. So that's been a nice thing, is like coming back to streaming and like seeing the little tiny bits of success and not feeling like I failed. Not has been so good. So good. Extra Life has been great, though. The community has been amazing. Like, the donation that I got, what was it, yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday that I got the donation from my friend. I was like, like, they made me cry. Because, like, I was expecting, like, I was like, oh, well, whoever donated would probably, like, donate, like, the $40 I needed to hit the 1,000. Like, just the minimum that I needed to hit the $1,000 to, like, hit the goal. No, they donated 100. And, like, their comment on Twitter was so sweet. And, like, the reason why they donated was, like, Dragon, I've seen you've been doing this for years now, and I've always wanted to support, so here you go. And I was like, okay. Oh my god. It was so sweet. It was so sweet. And I'm like, oh god. Yeah, it hit me. It hit me in the feels real good. And I'm just like so proud. Like that, this is gonna be a real big help to the stollery here in my city. They're just going through it. Like, the government right now in Alberta is a menace. And just not really doing good to the hospital. And so hopefully all of the money my team raised this year, which is over 80,000 now, I think we hit 82,000 or something like that. Like, we like smashed our goal completely, which was amazing. Because I think our whole team goal was 75,000, and we are at like 81 or 82,000 now. So that was like really cool. Like, not only for me to like hit my goal, but also to see my team come together and like smash the goal out of the park. It was so good. It's so good, and I'm so emotional over it. Because I know what's been going on with the hostelry, and they've just, that whole hospital where it's located right now, it's just been under construction. It's at the university hospital too, which doesn't help. So like all kinds of patients, all kinds of students, all kinds of everything goes to that hospital. And I know a recent update came out from the stollery that they're still part of the like children's hospital part of the U of A, or at the university hospital. So there's still a small part of it that's been shut down still due to COVID, so that they can treat COVID patients there, like for any age COVID patients. And so you're mixing like COVID cases and COVID treatment with the same space that little vulnerable kids are. It's so fucking heartbreaking. And I hate our government. That's a whole other story. So yeah, they need it. They need the money so much. And it just means a lot. It means a lot. So thank you. Thank you to everybody. I love the fast mining in this game, but then they leave little bits behind. I'm like, no, must get them all. There's 1 minute, 0 seconds left on the contest for the most fish. I wish the fishing contest actually worked. I would love the fishing contest. I was actually thinking of, after doing this, like, doing this little part here of mining, I kind of want to go fishing. I might go fishing. Because I like the chill fishing in Minecraft. I think Minecraft has the easiest fishing out of all the games. Animal Crossing is okay, but I'm really bad at getting, like, aligning my fishing rod with the fish. Or, like, putting the lure in a way that the fish will go to it in Animal Crossing. Terrible at it. Not the greatest. Stardew, you all heard my rants about Stardew Valley fishing. That pesky little fish in that green bar are my living nightmare sometimes. Minecraft, you just sit there, you throw the fishing rod, you wait, and you see the little bubbles come towards it, and you go yoink, and as soon as the bobber goes down. So easy. I love it. I love it. Oh, so maybe I'll do some fishing after this. But I need some water. I have been talking for like 2 hours straight with no liquids. Ah, there we go. That feels better. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that happened this year for me. Think so? All the students I taught this year gave me 5 out of 5 star rating though. Hell yeah. That was cool. I think my overall rating right now is 4.94 though, because last year, near the end of the year, I was teaching class, like in the middle of the class, and it was like a freak snowstorm that hit. Because hello, we're Canadian. And I usually have pretty good internet, even throughout like snowstorms and such, but then I lost connection during the class. I was like, no. And I couldn't get onto the website on my phone to message the parent and the student. I tried replying back in email form. It was not going through. And I was like, oh, fuck. No. And then, yeah, sure enough, the parent left a pretty bad review, like, teacher just up and left the class in the middle of instruction. I want my refund. I'm like, oh, okay. Great. That was one, like, little salty moment I had on the platform. Otherwise, this year's been very, very successful. Very, very good. Very, very good out school year. It's sad that I can't enroll any new students until February. So, that's a little sad. I never really talked about Toastmasters this year. I did a lot of Toastmasters. This will be a quick run through of Toastmasters, because honestly, I know I talk about way too much. But I was the VP Ed, so Vice President of Education, for 2 clubs last year. And naturally, when it comes to that role, like Vice President of Education, you have to schedule speeches and fill agenda roles and all that stuff. And it was near the end of that, like, 1 year Toastmaster period, where I was like doing speeches almost weekly just to keep our clubs going, like speech wise, because it was a lot. Like, people weren't signing up for roles, they're taking off traveling for summer. It was quite a bit, and I ended up finishing 2 pathways this year, and technically a 3rd pathway. So, how Toastmasters works is you sign up, become a member, all this, like, technical stuff here, but you sign up to become a member, you pay whatever your fees are every 6 months, and when you do, you become a new member, and you can basically take a little questionnaire that you can take and basically just tell Toastmasters, like, what your goals are for, like, joining Toastmasters. Is it to work on public speaking skills, presentation skills, communication skills, leadership skills, making friendships and connections, like, whatever your goals are for Toastmasters and what you want to personally work on. And you answer a bunch of questions on that. And then the questionnaire will kind of sort through the 11 different educational pathways that we have to offer, and we'll recommend the top 3 that will best align with your goals. So that's what that is. And then each pathway has 5 levels. So again, gamification of education. Each pathway has 5 levels, and you do a certain number of speeches and projects in each level, and at the very end, after you finish all of that work, you get to do a reflect on your past speech. So it's quite a lot. I think the average path, a high pickup sound. Let's see, the average pathway will have 5, 8, 11, 13, 15, 16 speeches, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. It's a lot of speeches. You're doing a lot of writing, a lot of revamping, a lot of practicing, it's a lot. Toastmasters is a lot, and that's what's cool about it though. Like, you do not have to rush through it. You can go at your own pace. You can come and leave clubs whenever you need to, and you can just pick up from where you left off. Like, that's the cool part about Toastmasters I like. So for example, if whatever reason I need to quit my clubs for a little bit because life is just too much, I can, and then I can always come back and pick up where I left off. Like, I think that's why I like Toastmasters a lot. And so I smashed through 2 pathways. So think about that. I did motivational strategies pathway, and I did strategic relationships. Yeah, because they're all like leadership focused. And it was amazing. I did learn quite a lot. Like, I know I did a lot of speeches at the very end there, and I kind of blasted through it. But a lot of the speeches I did near the end of that VP Ed role were like leadership based, and so it was things I was already kind of doing. And so I was like, oh, now I have the time to like reflect on the things that I've been doing as VP Ed, and it was kind of fun to do that. And so mainly the end of my 2 pathways were a lot of reflection work and realizing, oh yeah, I did all these cool projects this year. Fuck yeah. And then I took a 3rd pathway. And then like the 3rd pathway I completed was the mentorship program, because I became a mentor to a really good bean named Giovanna. I love Giovanna. She's such a hard worker. And so I was able to use the mentorship program to help guide and facilitate that mentorship, like, protege relationship. And we got pretty far. She's actually on her level 5 of her 1st pathway now. And I'm so fucking proud. Oh my god, I'm so proud of her. You have no idea. No idea. She's come so far. And yeah, it's been really cool to be a part of Toastmasters. And I'm on a new pathway now. I was going to originally take this one to be like super slow, but no, it has not been slow. I have been kind of the like yes person to the new VP Ed a little bit in kind of the clubs, where they'll reach out to me like, hey, I've got no speakers. I know you're working on a new pathway, some speeches you've already done before. Do you want to just kind of bang that out quickly and do a speech this week? I'm like, yeah, sure. Right, actually listing out the things can be a hell of a way to see how much you've accomplished. Yeah, if you think about it, like, think about the 15, 16 speeches in a pathway. I completed 2 full pathways of that. So, in a year and a half. So, what, that's 18 months. In 18 months, I was able to complete 30 projects. 31 projects, plus the additional 3 from the mentorship program. So like 33. So 33 projects, and that's involved like planning, writing, practicing, revamping, memorizing, organizing committees, organizing teams, doing projects, helping your club out, expanding your club, fulfilling leadership roles, taking on new opportunities. Oh man, no wonder speaking has become a lot more comfortable for me. So, yeah, it's interesting how much I've done. And already this year, for my new pathway, I have already done, how many? I did level 1, level 2, level 3 this year. So that is, I did 5 speeches in level 1. I did 11 projects already in 6 months. So definitely a lot more slower pace. But that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. And now I'm at that point where I'm in my last 2 levels of my 3rd pathway, and I'm like, how do? Because team collaboration is my 3rd pathway. So motivational strategies helped me realize what kind of person I am, how I communicate, what kind of participant on a team I can be, like what kind of team participant I am, how I contribute to teams, how I contribute to the leadership team. Like, those are kind of what I work on in motivational strategies. Whereas strategic relationships was fully on leadership stuff. And so it was sort of like leading by example, doing a few of those things, organizing committees, and planning huge events and projects. And I took on a lot more of that work on that pathway. Team collaboration has been a little different so far. I got to see how my leadership style has changed in like 18 months, which is kind of cool. And I don't know, I'm not getting as much value out of it because level 1 and level 2 are quite similar across all the pathways, so you're not really, you can kind of do like comparisons and like, well, this is what's different this year than what I got last year, and you can kind of do a little bit of that work, which is valuable. But otherwise it's like, okay, yeah, I'm doing cool, I'm understanding my leadership style again, or I'm understanding my communication style again, I'm doing my introduction to mentoring speech again. But at least I got to talk about different things this year, which is what was cool. So for level 2, my leadership style changed quite a bit. I had a huge spectrum of difference between my top style and my last style the first time I did that project. Like, there was like a total of like 12 points in difference, like on the scale. This year, though, I only had 8 points in difference, so what that means is that I'm becoming a much more balanced leader, in the sense that, like, if I need to set a deadline and it needs to be frickin' met, I will put my foot down. Whereas before, hella not comfortable with that. Nope. Did not like doing that at all. Not at all. Hated doing that. I hated being the authoritative, like, you must do this, and do this now. Hated it. Nah, didn't like it. No. Nope. Conflict. Hate it. Run away from conflict every time. I'm the kind of person, I still am to that day, I still get that uneasy feeling where I'm like, oh, fuck, I have to set this boundary. Oh, shit, I gotta, like, set this deadline. Oh, man. I gotta do this. I gotta have this conversation. But at the same time, though, I can do it, get through it okay, and because I'm also very empathetic and a nice person, I always like double check with the person after those meetings, like, hey, that was a bit of a hard meeting, a little difficult to hear those things, hey, I'm very sorry that, you know, it had to come to this, but I'm just wondering, are you feeling motivated, like, checking in, like, how are you handling the task now on a shorter time crunch, is there anything I can support you with, despite the conversation we've had. So I can still kind of keep that niceness to myself, but use it in an effective way to be like, hey, checking in, how you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? We had a conversation about asking for help, remember? This is your opportunity. I am now reaching out and saying, hey, I can help you. Would you like help? So I can at least do that. So I can have those tough conversations, whatever I want, now a little easier. I don't like them. Never do. But I at least can put my foot down and be like, you know what, no, I've been waiting for this for 2 months now. You have 2 weeks. It has to get done. Our club needs this, and we need to get going. So, there's that. That was kind of a cool thing to reflect on, like the change that I've had in like in 18 months. I'm like, oh, I have a little bit of a backbone now. Say what? What? So that was cool. And the other project that was kind of nice to reflect on was it's called Introduction to Mentorship Program, where you have to talk about an experience where you were a protege and the things you learned as a protege in that relationship. So I talked about Josh and the Intervivos Mentorship Program, and I was so proud of that because I shared a lot about my work with inclusivity and like that kind of things with it, and a few of the members were like, that's amazing, Violet, like, what a great, like, opportunity to work with someone and learn those things. Amazing. And then I also found out that old white men are still homophobic as ever. So that was hard. That was a little bit hard, but it was so fun to, like, write that speech and just talk about all this cool shit I'm doing. in my life. So on one hand, yay for fucking assholes that are still homophobic as fuck. But also yay for the fact that I wrote something and reflected on it and really enjoyed like actually writing a speech and delivering it. Yeah. My next speech I get to do is on debate, actually. So I have to do a 10 to 15 minute speech on how to effectively prepare for a debate. And I'm excited for that one because I've been doing a lot of speech and debate work with my Talkmates opportunity. So that'll be good. That'll be good. That'll be a good speech to do. And then after that, though, I have no idea how to do the other projects. Oh my god, I have no idea what to do with them. Because the one project, I've done it before on one of my other pathways. It's called Motivate Others, where you have to come up with a team, complete a project, have the team evaluate your skills as a leader, and kind of do a little bit of an evaluation, and then you reflect on the entire experience as a whole. There's that. And then there's Lead in Any Situation, where you take on a 6-month leadership opportunity in Toastmasters or other volunteer organizations of some sort. You have people like evaluate you throughout that experience of the 6 months, and you come back and reflect on that. So those 2 projects, easy peasy. The last speech in level 5 before I reflect on my entire pathway, I don't know which one to do. There's like different leadership projects, different ones I can do. Like I can moderate a panel discussion potentially for one. I could do high performance leadership, where it'll be another 6 months of taking on a complete organization of an event or a committee or something, like fully leading something for a 6-month period. Same with ethical leadership, although it's a little different. I haven't looked that one up yet, but I need to, because the person I'm mentoring, he wants to do that project for April, so I have to look at that project and help him out with it. There's also Prepare to Speak Professionally, but I've already done that one, where you have to speak 18 to 22 minutes on a topic of your choice and present it like a keynote speech, like a TED Talk, basically. I did that one already. I think that was the one I talked about D&D, like how teaching D&D can be valuable to not only the students learning all the very good skills I talked about earlier, but also for you as a person who loves the game, because it teaches you leadership skills, how to give consent, build trust at the table and with your team and all that jazz. It was a really cool speech. I really liked it when I did that one. So I gotta figure out what to do with that last project, that last one. I'm not sure which one I want to do. It would be nice to finish this pathway by the end of the year, but also I'm not really in a rush to finish it per se. Don't tell anybody who expects me to finish the pathway, because I really don't want to. I'd rather take my time with the last few projects a bit. Although I will be completing one of the speeches January 14th. And then the others, I'm going to try to take my time with it. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah.